Welcome, welcome, welcome to Mystic Moons. Today, the question that I have in mind to explore was or is Prince Andrew the only friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the only royal friend of Jeffrey Epstein? I was wondering about that. Was or is, I don't really care about tenses in this energy, in this current time. Was or is Prince Andrew the only royal family member of the royal family, who was Epstein's buddy, Epstein's friend, Epstein's associate, hung out with Epstein, ate food with Epstein, shook his hand with Epstein, got to see Epstein in 2 different types of shirts, whatever, right? Saw him more than once. Hello. That's the question that we are going to explore today. Is Prince Andrew the only royal who was Epstein's friend? Hello, hello. Let's go and see. I have a 7 of Swords here. 7 of Swords. King of Cups. I would say that what Jeffrey Epstein offered, definitely Andrew was not the only one to take advantage of Epstein's network, Epstein's connections, Epstein's ambiance. If you wanted to have a particularly good time in a particular sort of way, Epstein was the obvious man to go to. One could say with 6 of Cups, 6 of Swords in here, and 7 of Pentacles. Interesting how we're getting 7s and 6s. Well, I say 7s because, 7s are also reevaluating how you interact with the world. How do you conceive or work with the avenues, the people, the resources around you? And the 6s are interesting because they're talking about literal relationships. What do you have to do to maintain relationships? What do you have to do to go and find the right circles that you belong in? Where do you best go to thrive? Or where should you go to thrive? With this question popping up with 6 and 7s, here is really talking about image, or should we say the dichotomy, the struggle between self-image and public image. How much do you adhere to, or how carefully do you continue to maintain a certain type of public image? And how do you rectify that or mediate that with your internal wants and desires, what you feel like doing? For the royal family, and I'm just looking at this as royal family of Britain, just the royal households of Europe, I'm leaving that a little open, but anybody who was related to Andrew's family, that's how I'm viewing the question, or viewing the connections. And I'm going to say that in this energy, Andrew wasn't the only one who dealt with Epstein, but I would say in this energy, the other people were very, I'm not going to say frugal, but I am going to say cautious, calculating, strategic about how and where and why they met up with Epstein or people within Epstein's connection. They weren't necessarily there going to be flagging putting out horns and trumpets and lights going, oh yes, here I am with my best bud, Epstein. Now, in this energy, it speaks of there definitely was a relationship, but it was very crafted. When there were public moments, and I'm sure definitely there were public moments with Six of Swords, Six of Cups, public events. But it was kept very neutral. So interesting in this energy. Very crafted, very studied. Definitely a public face, and definitely that public face did not at all reflect. It's like, what are you doing? Definitely did not reflect what, interesting here too, in that energy underneath. Because Seven of Pentacles with a Three of Swords. This is like all the different flavors of grief. Some acute pain that bleeds off into more than one area. So, I mean, the energy just sort of gets funkier and funkier from there. We could definitely be talking about in this energy too with Epstein and the royal family for, pardon my saying so, for the real kinks or the real sadistic acts that some are inclined to do, but they couldn't exactly find proper or something, venues, avenues, opportunities to do so. We could say that Epstein could have been also that touch point, that release, because this energy, as you go further and further on there, holds a lot of guilt. It's like doing wrong and you know it, causing pain and grief and you know it. It's funky energy back here behind the public face. Definitely. It gets funky. We have a Seven of Swords. Thank you for the like. So Seven of Swords, we have a Queen of Wands. We have the World. We have a Two of Wands with a Six of Cups. I'm going to say definitely other members had a relationship with Epstein, but they didn't go and publicize it to the extent that Andrew did. Very studied cultivation of the public face there. Also, too, they went for Epstein to go and fulfill certain needs, certain desires, certain actions, certain encounters. Encounters that they necessarily could not go and get anywhere else. They didn't go for him for common things. Think about it, maybe there'd be a place where you'd go to buy, I don't know, fresh fruit, a place where you go to buy furniture, a place where you go to buy hardware. You know, it's almost in that kind of sectioned off energy. It wasn't like they just went out to go for Epstein for parties. They went for something very specific. Now, Seven of Swords clarified by a Queen of Wands, World, and Two of Wands. Certain types of, when they would go and deal with him, they expect a certain type of action, a certain type of companion, certain type of people to be met there. Definitely, we're talking about a very curated type of selection. And also, too, in this energy, when they were feeling adventurous, when they were feeling not necessarily conventional. Don't know how much farther I want to go into that, but Epstein was the connection to go for that. Epstein could go and set them up with a certain type, a certain brand of experiences that would not be available otherwise. One could almost say in this energy, almost, oh, we're dealing with taboo. How do you clean up a taboo with people who know how to go and keep their mouths shut, or people who will ensure that what happens at a certain venue stays at a certain venue? Eight of Swords under a Queen of Wands, 10 of Cups, Page of Cups, all under a Queen of Wands. Well, there's a couple things in this energy. I almost want to go and say that any sort of connections that would be made through Epstein would be short lived, not really necessarily having that long of a touch point or a connection. It's almost like, oh, I don't know whether to say momentary encounters or, in other words, like you wouldn't necessarily go or the royal family wouldn't go through Epstein to go and meet people, and those people would be continuing into their lives on a constant basis. That would continue. It's like for a specific duration of time, and also too in this energy, there's not much control, not much expectation. It's pretty much well, it's momentary. There was something else I wanted to say about this. And it's just eluding me. Well, also too, we could say that in this energy, not much self-control, or we could say self-awareness, one or the other, would be exercised by the people put together, or the people that would be subservient, is that the right word, to the royal family. Royal family would be the guest of honor, right? The people who would be creating that experience. They didn't really have much autonomy or much power. They were subject to the climate that was set by the organizers. They had roles to fulfill and not really expected to put much thought one way or another into what they did or did not do. So the world gets Chariot. 7 of Swords, some more sevens popping up here with Chariot, and 7 of Cups. And High Priestess. So what did we have when we first pulled? We had a lot of 7s and 6s. Now we're starting to go and get 7s and 2s. 2s with a High Priestess and also 2 of Wands. Well, the experience is first of all here with this energy, a chance to go and experience that. I almost want to say that's illicit with World, 7 of Cups, and High Priestess. There definitely are things that you are dealing with the Epstein network for the royal family. There'd be connections, there would be experiences that you wouldn't be able to go and get elsewhere. And that was probably his brand. There's something more in here, though, and that's the question of excess. I would say in this energy, it just wasn't so much about the type of people that he'd bring for those experiences, but it would be a chance to go and network with other people, other like colleagues to the royal family, where you could go and meet other like-minded, similar taste people to enjoy or share or something. Continue your particular type of taste together. It's almost like I like golf. Who likes golf? Let me go to a golf course and find other people who like golf. Kind of in that energy, it's networking. And in this energy, too, we could say that with the royal family dealing with Epstein, that was basically a hub, almost like a bus terminal, a train terminal, an airport terminal, where you could go and meet other people who were connected to other hubs, going to other places, knowing of other places, definitely networking here. Networking for your specific type of interest, to use the analogy of golf, right? But it's also a little bit more over the top here. We aren't dealing purely about like they like to go and put Epstein down as a sexual, a trafficker of women or women and men. We know there were men in there. But a sexual trafficker. And there's more to Epstein than that. We know that he, well, first of all, he was placed as a teacher at all those private schools, those exclusive, highly exclusive private schools. We also know that Epstein was recommended to several people through his ability to be a financial advisor and wealth management. And then we also know that Epstein was a huge funder of scientific endeavors, numerous labs, numerous research groups, both even regular clinics. They all, from university labs, private labs, to regular health clinics. Epstein had funding and had interest in several of those areas. So we just can't go and say that with the interest of Epstein, it was only dealing with matters of copulation. It was more than that. And I feel like it's the whole entire experience that he offered, much like you go to an amusement park and you have a choice of enjoying the grounds, taking a ride, sitting in a restaurant, talking to some people, etc. It was almost like a carnival, a specific type of carnival, a specific type of resort, a specific type of event where more than one thing was happening. And with Two of Wands. Two of Wands, I have a King of Cups. Strength. I'm actually curious about the seals of the various royal families that are around, the coat of arms that they use. I haven't bothered looking, but if I was going to do this reading a little bit in hindsight before, I just had the idea to go and do it now, decided to hop on there. But I would have taken a look at their coat of arms for each family. A little curious now, but anyway, it's after the fact. With Two of Wands clarified by King of Cups, Strength, and Four of Wands. Epstein was a trusted contractor, pointman, very, do I say, clandestine, or his privacy, his ability to keep quiet was part of his appeal, part of his charm, part of the trust. Epstein not only was a friend with other members of the royal family, I'm going to say he was a trusted provider. The services and the contact and the events he put on, they could enjoy with full knowledge. Excuse me. With full knowledge that it would stay private. Very interesting energy. I definitely would go and say a little bit in this energy too. The members of the royal family went there because they could go and test the boundaries of what was possible. There's a lot of pushing the limit to what would normally be available in this energy. And it's all about, I could almost say, the sensory experience. And again, I like to go and say that goes beyond matters of this, well, beyond matters of the pants, let's put it that way. This is sensory. This is the sight, the sound, the taste. More than just matters of the pants that were going on here. There's parties, and I don't mean, again, parties that involve the lower chakra. This is like activities and eating, socializing, events, construction. Did they build things? They explored things. They explored, could be the range of human emotion. They explored the limits of humanity, the range of humanity, what could be contained within humanity, a person, the universe within a person, the person of a universe, micro, macro, cosm type of plays here. It wasn't about, again, the actual people they dealt with. It was about almost exploring what makes people human, exploring what it means to be human. And also to not necessarily considering themselves part of the people they examined. Definitely not work to be proud of is what they did. Definitely not getting in touch with a higher self or a higher purpose. I definitely want to say that in these energies too, as I said, I like to make it clear this is not about what they commonly focus on with Epstein. It's almost like testing the range of how strong the average person is, and at what point does the average person break, or what point does the average person change? What is required for people to change? And how can that change be encouraged or guided or caused? Things like that is what they explored. Very exploitive stuff. Anyway, no point in reading signs there, but that's what I got here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your likes. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit of time. And that's what my little sleeping kitty says. But until next time, bye-bye. Thank you.